Look at this simple black and white square. In China, this little square is money. It is a key. It is an ID card. It is everywhere. And it just made your wallet completely useless. Hello, I am Stickman Xing. Welcome to Stickman's China Quiz. Today, we unlock a modern mystery. How did a simple QR code take over China? And why is the whole world copying it now? Here are 5 questions for our quiz later. First, what year was the QR code invented? Second, what % of Chinese use mobile pay? Third, name the 2 biggest payment apps in China. Fourth, why did QR codes beat credit cards there? Fifth, what can you do with a QR code in China? Watch the full video to find all the answers. Then test your knowledge in our fun quiz. Remember, this quiz is just for fun. No prizes, just for learning.
Welcome to Stickman's China Quiz. I'm KaXing, born in China, raised in Hong Kong, and the person behind the channel. By now, you probably already know Stickman Xing, our little visual guide who helps to bring each topic to life. Here's how it works. We research deeply, animate with AI, and end every episode with a quiz that puts you in the driver's seat. If you're tired of shallow headlines and want to truly understand China, you've come to the right place. No politics, no noise, just facts, stories, and curiosity. Join us as we discover the real China together.
In the West, the story of money is a slow march. It took over a century to evolve. First came coins and paper cash for thousands of years. Then the credit card arrived in the 1950s. It was a plastic revolution. People could buy now and pay later. Banks built huge systems around it. By the 1990s, credit cards were everywhere in America and Europe. Then came digital wallets and contactless taps. Apple Pay and Google Pay entered the scene. But this was a step-by-step evolution. Each new step needed the old system to exist. Credit cards needed bank networks. Digital wallets needed credit cards linked. It was a ladder, each step built on the last. China looked at this ladder and built an elevator. It went from the ground floor to the top instantly. Why could China do this? The story starts with a different beginning. China did not have a century of credit cards. In fact, credit card use was extremely low. Let's look at the official numbers. The People's Bank of China tracks this data. In 2010, only about 10% of Chinese adults had a credit card. That's about 140 million people. But look at the other number. Over 300 million people already had smartphones. The traditional banking system was not ready. Installing card machines was expensive for small shops. Many rural areas had no banks at all, but mobile phone signals were everywhere. China faced a unique opportunity. How to create a modern payment system? They needed something fast, cheap, and simple. They needed to serve everyone, not just city people. The answer was not in a bank. It was in everyone's pocket. The stage was set for a huge leap. A leap that would change daily life forever. What do you think happened next? Why did credit cards fail to catch on in China? Was it culture, technology, or something else? Write your best guess in the comments below. I read every single comment. And if you want more real stories from China, hit subscribe. Scan the QR code to join the Stickman's China Quiz WhatsApp community. The leapfrog moment didn't happen by accident. It was a perfect storm of three things. First, the smartphone explosion. Second, the rise of super apps. Third, a national need for a better way. Let's start with the phones. Around 2010, smartphones became affordable. Chinese companies like Xiaomi and Huawei made good, cheap phones. The Ministry of Industry and Information Technology has the data. In 2012, China had about 400 million smartphone users. By 2017, that number more than doubled to over 700 million. That's more than the entire population of Europe. Almost every adult had a powerful computer in their hand. Now enter the super apps. Two giants appeared, WeChat and Alipay. WeChat started in 2011 as a simple messaging app, like WhatsApp, but made in China. Alipay started earlier, around 2004, for online shopping. It was made by Alibaba, China's biggest e-commerce company. Both apps had millions of users. Then, they added a payment feature. WeChat Pay launched in 2013. You could send money to friends, like a digital red envelope. It was fun and social. Alipay was already doing online payments. But they both saw a bigger opportunity: the real world. What if you could pay in a physical store with your phone? No wallet, no cards. They introduced the QR code scanner. The store shows a QR code on paper or a screen. You open the app, scan it, and pay. It was incredibly simple. The timing was perfect. During Chinese New Year in 2014, WeChat made a viral game. People could send digital red envelopes with money inside. Millions of people linked their bank cards to WeChat just for fun. Overnight, they had a payment system ready. By 2015, you could see QR codes in tiny noodle shops. You could see them in luxury stores in Shanghai. The network effect started. If one shop used it, customers wanted it. If customers had it, more shops would need it. It spread like wildfire. So why did this simple QR code win? Why did it beat credit cards and even cash? There are three unbeatable reasons. First, cost. Second, simplicity. Third, network power. Let's break down the cost. For a small business owner, every penny counts. A traditional card machine or POS terminal costs money. There is a fee to buy or rent the machine. There are monthly service fees. And every transaction has a fee, usually 1 to 3%. For a small shop selling breakfast for $1, that's a lot. A QR code costs almost nothing. You print it on paper for a few cents. Or you display it on an old smartphone. The transaction fee for the merchant is much lower, often around 0.3 to 0.6%. This data comes from industry reports by iResearch. For millions of small vendors, this was a game changer. Now, simplicity for the user. Using a credit card can be slow. Swipe or insert, wait, sometimes sign a paper. With QR code payment, it's 3 steps. Open the app, scan, confirm. For small payments, no password is needed. It takes less than 3 seconds. My grandmother learned it in 1 day. She is 78 years old. If she can use it, anyone can. Finally, the network effect. This is the most powerful force. When everyone around you uses something, you join. Your friends use it to split a restaurant bill. Your family uses it to send holiday money. Every store you like has a QR code on the counter. You feel left out if you don't have it. It became the standard language of payment. Look at the transaction numbers to see this power. In 2015, mobile payment transactions in China were about 10 trillion yuan. By 2020, according to iResearch, it will explode to 432 trillion yuan. That's over 60 trillion US dollars. To understand that number, it's more than the GDP of most countries. The system won because it was better for everyone. Cheaper for sellers, easier for buyers. And it created its own gravity, pulling more people in. This system changed a whole country. Could a QR code payment system work where you live? What would be the biggest challenge? Tell me your country and your thoughts in the comments. I love seeing the discussion. And if you're finding this deep dive into China's technology useful, please subscribe. Click that subscribe button and the bell icon. You won't miss our next quiz. The QR code's journey didn't stop at payments. It evolved into something much bigger. It became a digital key for modern life in China. Think of it as a Swiss Army knife in your phone. The first big expansion was transportation. You can scan a code to unlock a shared bicycle. Companies like Mobike and HelloBike use this. You scan a code to enter a subway station. Many Chinese cities have this now. No need for a transit card. But the most famous expansion happened in 2020. The COVID-19 pandemic created a new need. How do you know if someone is safe to be around? China introduced the health QR code. It was a simple but powerful idea. You fill in a form on your phone within an app. The system gives you a color: green, yellow, or red. Green means you are low risk and can move freely. You show this code to enter shopping malls, offices, and restaurants. It was on millions of phones every day. The system was developed by the government and tech companies. It helped manage public health during a difficult time. It showed how a simple code could hold important information. Then came more uses. You can scan a QR code to connect to Wi-Fi. No need to ask for a password. You can scan a code on a product to see its story, where it was made, how it was shipped. You can scan a code to follow a shop on social media. You can scan a code to apply for a job. You can even scan a code on a tombstone to learn about a person's life. The QR code is a bridge between the physical and digital world. In China, it's hard to find a place without one. From a street vendor selling baozi to a 5-star hotel. They all use the same simple system. It creates a common language. This is the real magic of China's QR code revolution. It started as a payment tool, but it became the foundation for a digital society. It shows how technology can solve many problems, all with a simple scannable square. China's QR code payment system is no longer just a Chinese story. It is becoming a global blueprint. Countries around the world are looking at China and asking, can we do that too? The answer is increasingly yes. Let's look at Asia first. India is a great example. A company called Paytm saw China's success. They built a similar QR code payment system in India. Today, Paytm has over 300 million users. You can see QR codes in small shops across India. In Southeast Asia, apps like Grab and Gojek did the same. They started as ride-hailing apps, like Uber. Then they added payments using QR codes. Now they are super apps, just like WeChat. They offer food delivery, payments, and more. Even in Africa, mobile money is huge. Services like M-Pesa in Kenya let people send money by phone. They often use simpler USSD codes, not QR. But the idea is the same: leapfrog traditional banks. Why is this model so attractive to other countries? The World Bank has studied this. Their global Findex database shows the reason. Over 1.7 billion adults worldwide have no bank account, but most of them have a mobile phone. China's model proves you can build a financial system on phones. You don't need expensive bank branches everywhere. You just need a smartphone and a data connection. This is financial inclusion. It brings poor people into the modern economy. Western countries are watching too. In the US and Europe, credit cards are still king. But apps like Venmo and Cash App are popular for splitting bills. They are slowly adding QR code features. Stores are starting to accept more digital payments. The pandemic accelerated this trend everywhere. China also has a new project, the digital yuan. It's an official digital currency from the People's Bank of China. You can use it with a QR code too. It's like digital cash, backed by the government. China is testing it in many cities right now. It could change how we think about money globally. The humble QR code, invented in Japan in 1994. It sat quietly for years as a tool for tracking boxes. China saw its potential and turned it into a national standard. Now, that standard is going global. It's a story of innovation, necessity, and scale. A story that started in China and is now rewriting the rules of money for the world. Now, let's test your knowledge. Here are the 5 questions from the start.
Greetings, viewers. I bring tidings of unity and prosperity.
Question 1. What year was the QR code invented? Was it a year 1994? B. 2001? C. Year 2005? Or D. Year 2010? The answer is A, year 1994. It was invented in Japan by Denso Wave for tracking car parts. Question 2. What % of Chinese people use mobile payments? Is it A, 50%, B, 70%, C, 86%, or D, 95%? The answer is C, 86%. A 2021 survey by the China Internet Network Information Center shows this. Question 3. Name the 2 biggest payment apps in China. Are they A. WeChat and Alipay, B. PayPal and Visa, C. Apple Pay and Google Pay, or D. QQ and Baidu? The answer is A. WeChat and Alipay. They control over 90% of the mobile payment market in China. Question 4. Why did QR codes beat credit cards in China? Was it because they are A. cheaper for shops, B. easier for users, C. helped by super apps, or D. all of the above? The answer is D. all of the above. All these reasons work together. Question 5. What can you do with a QR code in China? Can you A. pay for lunch, B. rent a bike, C. show your health status, or D. all of the above? The answer is D. all of the above. The QR code is a multi-use tool in China today. How many did you get right? Tell me in the comments. The QR code's journey is incredible. From a factory tool to the heart of Chinese daily life, it shows how technology can leapfrog old systems. If you enjoyed this story, please give us a like. It helps our channel grow. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What surprised you the most? And subscribe to Stickman's China Quiz. We explain China's culture, history, and technology. Come to China and see this digital life for yourself. Discover the real, modern China. Thanks for watching. See you in the next quiz.